This is a quick thing that I've put together to show just how useful it can be to be able to send an email to a machine rather than to a person. I'm going to use a rather simple example, just because it's it's something that many people may find useful. You could expand into it however you like. Basically, instead of telling a person to doing something, many times it can be easier just to tell the computer to do it. So the example I'm going to use, we are going to use email without anything extra installed on that machine. We'll just use OpenSSL or to your email client's port, and from there you will be able to retrieve your message using that to specify a command and making it so that it runs continuously. First, we need to create a file, and I'm going to call this helicopterparent.sh, and we are going to make that file executable. Once we have the file created, we'll go ahead and edit that, and we will give it a number of repeated variables here. First, we will tell it what server we are going to be using, and our email address. Email address we will enter in base 64, because that is what SSL will use to log in, and we will do the same thing with password. Great. Now we're going to build the series of commands into a file that we will then echo into OpenSSL. First, we are going to tell it to, of course, log in with the authenticate, and we will tell it the email address, and then our password, of course paying attention to casing here, and we will follow that up with telling it to check the inbox, and then we will tell it to log out. And we're going to put this command into a variable, and the command is OpenSSL s_client -crlf -connect, and our server on port 993, and we will make it quiet. We will echo it to dev_null to make it quiet, and we will echo in the commands from the file that we've created. Next, we want to see how many unseen messages we have in here, and specifically the first unseen message. So you're going to echo that response, and we'll pipe that into grep, and we want to find unseen, and from grep into awk we will then print the sixth variable that it finds. And I know it's the sixth variable because I've tested this already manually to find which variable is the one that we were looking for. If unseen is not 0, and if unseen is not blank, then we can run our commands. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the commands above, and then I will close my if statement, and we will go ahead and tab this in, make it a little bit more readable. We will be using a different file. Instead of check mail, we'll do get mail. And we're going to have another command, and this command is going to be to get, or rather fetch, the message that we found. So it's going to fetch the number, and it's RCF822 will grab the entire message. Same variable as before to collect the message, only this time we will pass the commands from get mail instead of from check mail. Next, we will want to read that response, and I'm going to go ahead and remove a few lines, just some garbage lines that I don't need. Now we will go ahead and we are going to read the content, and we are going to look specifically for the email address that we're looking for, because I only want it to be sending commands from a particular email address. So you can't have just any random person sending commands to my computer. And of course, we want to make sure that we are closing our if statements. So let's go ahead and add a comment in here just so I know what I'm looking at and don't lose what I'm doing, because hey, you never know. Next, I want to look for a particular subject line, and I want it to be a particular subject line because if I send it as just any message, it's like having a username without a password kind of thing. So I'm going to pick a string just to put it in my subject. I'm going to call it Overlord commands it, just because. And that way, if that is not in the message, then the command will not run. And we're going to look for a particular string in the message body. That string in the message body is going to tell the computer which command I want to do, and I'm going to put go to sleep. I don't want to use the actual command, because if I did that, then it opens me up to potentially making it so that people could just know what it is that I'm doing to the machine if that were to get out there. And I don't want to make it so that it just looks for command colon and then a string for any command, because then I could potentially have people sending just anything they want to the machine. I'm going to go ahead and have it do a shutdown -H for full halt now. That way, when it runs, if it receives that message, then it will do a complete shutdown. I'm going to go ahead and try running it, and I get an error. I need a space after that equals sign and quotations around my 0 on my if unseen statement. Now if I run it, no errors. I'm going to go ahead and send myself an email to the email address that I had set up for this machine to check. And of course you want to use a separate email address, because you don't want this reading through your own email address. You want this to be something separate. And I run it again. The machine instantly shuts down. Next, what I'll need to do is make it so that when this script is running, it is continuously running, and I need to make it so that it starts automatically every single time the machine turns on. So I will need to be creating a SystemD service, and I'll do one more slight modification to the script. At the top above echo, I'm going to put while space colon and do. And at the end of the file, I'm going to make it sleep for 5 seconds and then tell it done. If you're going to be doing this for a long time and you want this to be something you're actually using, I would say every 60 seconds or every 15 minutes may be a good idea. That way you're not constantly hammering it. And you can see now that I'm running it, it just stays open until I press Ctrl-C to stop it. Go ahead and create that service. First I'll change directory into etc systemd system and list my files, make sure I'm not overwriting anything. And I will touch helicopter parent.service, and I'm going to use the same naming scheme that I had used for the sh file. That way it is consistent and I know what it is that I'm looking at. And we'll edit the file. And here we'll need 3 things. We'll need unit, service, and install. Under the unit, we'll need to put a description. Again, use a consistent naming scheme. And we will tell it what it starts after. In our case, it'll start after the network turns on. We're going to give it a type of forking. It will run as root. It will work from the root user home directory. And to execute it, we'll run bin sh, and then we'll target the script that we created in that root directory. And lastly, we'll make a restart on failure. Under install, we're going to make it so it is wanted by multi-user target. Let's go ahead and give this a try. So we're going to enable the script after we do a daemon reload, and then start the script. I'm going to put an ampersand at the end to make sure that I can escape that and keep typing. And we'll check the status. Here we can see that it is running, how much memory it's using, its current PID, so great. We can go ahead and we can exit out of the terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and send an email to the system to tell it to shut down. And you can see here we've got little Johnny. He's not very good at Pac-Man, but he's up late playing again, and we told him it's time for bed. So we just, instead of arguing with him, we are going to go ahead and just send that command to the computer and letting him know that we are paying attention and we are aware that he's not listening. There are other uses that we can make out of this. You could do an entirely shell-based ticketing system for your work. You could could control your to-do list by email. You can tell your computer to run updates and restart. There's quite a number of things that you could do with this that would be very useful. The only catch is, of course, you'd want to have a separate email address set up for each computer that you would set this up for. And for maintaining the scripts, what I would recommend is setting up SyncThing, and then having SyncThing available. You'd be able to manage your different scripts across multiple machines. So you can sit in your office, update your script, and then, which would then tell, little Johnny's computer to update the script so you can send new commands to it without having to have physical access to his computer or having to log into it via SSH. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments if how I can do it better. I know that the script that I wrote was rather sloppy and could most definitely stand for improvements. Give me a like and subscribe if you'd like more fun like this from me. Thanks.